Welcome to the Africa Briefing Podcast, where we decode Africa's power, politics, and people with clarity and courage. I'm Jon Offei-Ansah. Across parts of Africa, the same political drama is being replayed. A familiar script with different actors, but the same ending. Leaders long past their political prime are finding inventive ways to stay in power, jailing opponents, disqualifying challengers, and rewriting constitutions. What were once democratic contests have become theater, state-managed elections that maintain a facade of legitimacy while hollowing out the substance of democracy. And the cost is mounting. An erosion of trust so deep that it threatens to ignite unrest from Tanzania to Cote d'Ivoire to Cameroon. Let's start in Tanzania, where the cracks showed plainly. President Samia Suluhu Hassan faced almost no genuine competition. Her two serious rivals were either jailed or barred from standing. And what should have been a celebration of democracy descended quickly into protest and violence. For many young Tanzanians, it was confirmation of what they already suspected. Elections are no longer instruments of choice, but rituals of continuity. In Cote d'Ivoire, President Alassane Ouattara secured a fourth term with nearly 90% of the votes after barring his main opponents. His supporters called it stability. His critics call it regression. And further west, Cameroon's 92-year-old Paul Biya, in power since 1982, cruised to an eighth term after his strongest challenger was disqualified by the courts. As one Cameroonian political scientist told the French broadcaster France 24, it's become, and I quote, a perversion of the system, unquote. Analysts say that this isn't just electoral manipulation. It's a deeper crisis of governance. Héritier Brilland Ndapanga of the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue calls it, and I quote, a crisis of democratic governance on the continent, unquote. Supposedly independent electoral bodies are being weaponized to favor incumbents, and citizens can see it. Opposition groups in the Central African Republic are boycotting elections over alleged bias. In Tanzania, opposition leader Tundu Lissu remains jailed for demanding reform, a warning to anyone who dares challenge the establishment. Even the democratic victories of 2024, when opposition parties triumphed in Ghana, Botswana, Mauritius, and Senegal, they have backfired. Those upsets appear to have spooked other rulers into tightening control at home. Behind all this is a changing world. Africa's old power brokers, the ruling elites, the security chiefs, the business dynasties are facing a new, impatient generation demanding transparency, jobs, and accountability. But repression has new allies. External pressure for reform is fading fast. China, Russia, Turkey, and the UAE now offer money, weapons, and infrastructure without questions about governance. As Mandipa Ndlov of Leiden University in Germany told French broadcaster France 24, democracy is no longer a prerequisite for partnership. And under President Donald Trump, Washington's approach has turned openly transactional. Aid cuts, silence on flawed elections, indifference to civil society. As political scientist De Chisman put it, You are not going to get pushed back from the US anymore. If the old guard is tightening its grip, the young are refusing to be quiet. Across Kenya, Madagascar, and beyond, Gen Z-led protests are erupting. Spontaneous, digital, leaderless, but very powerful. In Madagascar, youth-led demonstrations toppled the government and triggered a military takeover. In Kenya, economic protests have been met with violent crackdowns. People are becoming harder to control, and governments are responding the only way they know how: repression. But repression has limits. Every bullet, every arrest, every social media blackout widens the gulf between rulers and the ruled. We've seen this before. Kenya's post-election violence in 2007-2008 nearly tore the country apart. Yet it forced constitutional reforms that improved electoral transparency. That's the paradox of African democracy. Crisis breeds reform, eventually. But as in loved ones, if we can't fix the institutions, nothing will change. For many young Africans, democracy has become a hollow word, but they are not giving up on it. They are redefining it. Populations are becoming more demanding, governments more repressive. That's a dangerous combination. But Africa's story isn't fixed. If credible institutions can be rebuilt, if elections can once again mean choice rather than choreography, democracy can still work here. Because every generation rewrites the script. And this one, Gen Z, may finally end the era of the strongman. You'll be listening to the Africa Briefing podcast. For more grounded takes on Africa's shifting story, follow and share wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you and goodbye, and don't forget to keep hope alive.